Hello, and welcome to Return of the Obra Dinn. This is a game I have played before. It is about an insurance company employee heading aboard the ship the Obra Dinn to find out what on earth happened aboard it. It is a mystery-solving game all about putting together clues to work out who is who and what fates befell them. Without further ado, let's begin. Lost at Sea, 1803. The good ship Obra Dinn. Built 1796, London, 800 tons, 18-foot draft. Captain R. Witterell, crew 51 men. Last voyage to Orient, Cape Rendezvous, unmet. Contact East India Company London office for inquiries or testimony. The Honourable East India Company. Attention. Chief Inspector, Insurance and Claims, London office. The Obra Dinn has returned. Dispatch to Falmouth immediately and prepare a full assessment. Falmouth, England, 1807.
Company man woke me up. Said you'd need ferry to the Obra Dinn. Not many eager for that job. Seems a bit late if you ask.
I didn't.
What's in the box?
I don't know. I'll hoist it up in a few minutes.
Hey! How?
Carefully.
So, here we are at the ship of the Obra Dinn. First and foremost, this game has a very unique visual style. It's one that I've never seen any other game replicate, and it's one that works really well. Simple, but yeah, very effective. First thing to notice is that we have a skeleton on the deck of our ship. For now, we can't do anything much with it, but we'll take a bit more of a look around. Another thing of note is a glinting object off in the distance. Currently, we have no clue what that is, but all will become clear in time. Another point of note on this ship is that the front mast, or the rear mast rather, is broken. Clearly
It's too heavy!
Clearly something powerful broke the mast at some point. Let's head back down to our friend to get our box.
It's too heavy. Take it yourself or open it here.
Suppose then we shall just open it here. We obtain a book. Return of the Obra Dinn, a catalogue of adventure and tragedy, 1807. I trust that you now find yourself aboard the Obra Dinn. I expected this day to come, and my every intention was to tell the ship's strange tale within the pages of this book. Regrettably, failing health has allowed me to produce only the basic outline that follows. Your presence on the Obra Dinn is critical. I leave the discovery of its fate and the completion of this book in your hands. The next few pages will seem bewildering at first. All will make sense in time. Use the pocket watch to determine the identity and fate of everyone aboard. Complete each chapter accurately, and return the book by guaranteed post to the French Office of Affairs in Morocco. The bargain chapter will remain unknown to you. I possess the details within, but have elected to keep them private for now. Henry Evans. This is the book that we will be using for most of this game. It details the ship's journey. It has a map of the ship, a list of everyone on the ship, including an image of all of them, and then it has the chapters which we will be discovering, currently all blank. At the back, we have a glossary of various terms that we will need, various different roles on the ship along with some of the items, and we have this interesting, currently unknown graphic at the back, but again, all will become clear in time. We also have the pocket watch, the memento mortem, remember death. So, let's head back on board. So, that skeleton that we saw earlier suddenly becomes important. We can remember death, after all.
Captain! Open the door! Kick it in. Ah! Lest we break it down and take more than those shells! You bastards may take exactly what I give you!
So, here's how this game works. We will see snapshots of the moments people died. Our job is to work out who these people are and how they died. Thankfully, this one is fairly simple. We have a man firing a gun, and 2 men out here, along with 1 man, running up to the stern of the ship. We cannot work out a great deal so far, but one thing we can determine is that this man here is our captain. We will be able to fill that in the book later. We will have to use context clues from the audio that we hear, along with the visuals of the scene, to work out who is who. This game can be devilishly tricky at times, and finding the fates of everyone can be quite the task. It's been a while since I played this, so I don't remember all of the details, and I'm sure I will find new things that I have never seen before. Chapter 10. The End. Here's how each page, or each double page, will look. We will have someone who has died. We will have an image and audio log of the scene. We will have a location marked on the map. And we will have all of the people who were present in the scene highlighted in the sketch. As for who this is, their face is currently blurred. That suggests that we don't have the information to work out who they are. However, we do know what happened to him. He was shot with a gun by Captain Robert Witterell. Some scenes end with a door opening, and to exit the scene, we simply walk through the door. After some scenes, the ship will change. In this case, this door has opened. The fact that it is open is indicated by the slightly blurred effect over it. This reveals the interior of this room, with a further 2 bodies. We'll begin with this one.
Where are they? Must be in here someplace. They're at the bottom of the sea. That's a lie.
So, once again the identity of our victim is unknown, but his fate we can determine. He has been knifed by our captain. Importantly, whilst the scene is going on, there are other places to look. You can move around. In other scenes, moving around and finding other things in the scene will be very important indeed. In this case, there is the fight going on here, but there is also this man jumping down from the stern to the balcony behind the captain's quarters. The End, Part 2. Once again, we don't know who this man is, but we know that he was knifed by Captain Robert Witterell. Once again, a door has opened. Importantly, in any scene where a door opens, it is still possible to look around the rest of the scene. Any scene where the door opens, it is always worth having a double check over the scene to make sure that you haven't missed anything. But for now, we will move on. We will now check the next body. Once again, the identity of our victim is unknown, but the fate is visible. He has been clubbed by Captain Robert Witterell. If I hit tab and go to the sketch, then it takes me directly to the image of our victim on the sketch. And the face being blurred once again indicates that we don't have the information to work out who this man is. With time, all of these faces will become unblurred as we figure out who they are and unravel the mysteries of the Obra Dinn. As for the captain, we can now put in his identity. So, this man is Captain Robert Witterell. This door is also open in this scene, which allows us to come in here and find a woman. Her identity cannot yet be determined, but it will soon become more obvious. As for the rest of the scene, we still have this man who was shot outside. This is one of the simplest chapters, and it serves as the introduction to the game. Later chapters will have far more information in the sidelines and hidden around the scene. It'll be more important to spot. The End, Part 3. As before, we do not know the man's identity, but we know that he was clubbed by Captain Robert Witterell. With those two scenes finished, this door has now become blurred and open, and inside we have another body on the floor, as well as the body in the bed. We will begin with the one on the floor.
Abigail, your brother, my friend. I shot him dead. I'll be with you soon, my love. Please forgive me.
This scene is the first example of the audio log being particularly important. We now know that the woman in this bed is most likely Abigail, and we can put that in now. One Abigail Hoscott Witterell. Importantly, we also heard Captain Witterell saying that he shot her brother. So, we can now return to the man who was shot outside. This man is the brother of Abigail Hoscott Witterell. Therefore, the only person who it makes sense to be her brother would be one William Hoscott. Solving fates does not reveal them immediately. We will need to solve more before we can properly determine if we are correct or not. Importantly, Captain Witterell has shot himself, so his fate will now be completable once this scene finishes. As for Abigail's fate, we shall find that out when we use the pocket watch on her body back in the present day. The End, Part 4. Captain Robert Witterell now has met a known fate, committing suicide using a gun. Once again, we shall move on from this scene. Importantly, that was the final part of the chapter, The End. From here on in, things will only get more complicated. The X's here indicate that 4 people died within this chapter, and we have the pages of all of them. Next logical place to start is with Abigail's body. I will begin by pausing, because this scene is going to be a complicated one. There is going to be a lot of information, and we're going to be going through it quite quickly. First thing that we heard was Abigail shout out to a man named Martin, who told her to come here, so the man closest to Abigail will likely be Martin. So, we deduce that this man is called Martin. He's in very official uniform, which makes it most likely that he is one Martin Perrott, the third mate. Next, we shall move over near the helm. We have this man here, who we cannot yet identify. But we also have 2 women here next to the ship's wheel. Now, on the sketch, if we look through, we will see that there are 1, 2, 3 women here, but there are no other women in the sketch, save for 1 in the set of the Formosan royalty. We know that this woman is Abigail, therefore we are left only to determine the identity of these 2 women. So, how do we go about that? Now, the game has just told us that this is a particularly difficult deduction. However, thankfully it is not quite so hard as it seems. If we look through the crew manifest, we will see that the only two female names are those of a Miss Jane Bird and one Emily Jackson. Immediately, there is something to notice about this. Emily Jackson is referred to simply by her name. However, Miss Jane Bird has the title of Miss before her name. The title Miss is generally reserved for unmarried women. Therefore, we can go back to the scene, and if we look closely, we can see a wedding ring on the finger of this woman. That means that we can determine who these two are. This woman is Emily Jackson, whilst this is Miss Jane Bird. Small details like that are quite prevalent, and many of the identities rely on spotting the tiny details. For now, we will carry on and look around. Importantly, we have a man here being dragged by a large tentacle of whatever beast is attacking the ship. Coming to the sketch, we see that his face is unblurred. This is surprising. It's the first time we've seen him, and we've heard nothing about him. But we can use the context clue that in the sketch, he is stood with one hand on the ship's wheel. That means that most logically, he must be the helmsman of the ship, Finley Dalton. Continuing on, we cannot head up the stairs because they are blocked off by the beast. But if we look around, there is another detail we can find. Firstly, the torso of this man who has clearly been killed earlier in time. This is where most scenes differ from the end. Instead of starting at the beginning and working through in chronological order, we begin with the final scene and work backwards. That makes piecing everything together that much harder, because you have to keep track of what happened when. We will return to this body later. The final thing that we will note is these two gentlemen. They are fighting side by side. This suggests that their roles may be connected somehow. On the sketch, well, unfortunately we ran out of time, but we will remember that they are linked for later. Chapter 7. The Doom. We can now put in the fate of Abigail Hoscott Witterill. She was crushed by falling rigging. Three correct fates means that they are now typeset into the book. This means that we cannot alter them, and the names of those people disappear from the crew manifest when we are trying to identify people. So, as we go through the game and we identify more and more people, working out who the remaining people are gets easier and easier. This is the first time we see this action, the shaking pocket watch. This leads us to the next body we are due to investigate. We are now back on the ship in the present day, but the memory of the dead body that we saw now will lead us back outside. Following these wisps, we're eventually led to the site of the body where it is now revealed. We will now be able to access the next part of the Doom. I will end this episode here, but join me next time when we will find out the fate of this poor individual.